What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I am going to be presenting the top ranked players and the decks they have been playing for the Players Cup 3 qualifiers in North America on PTCGO. So the way I'll be presenting this is looking at the top 25 ranked players from the Pokemon.com leaderboard as of February 2nd in North America for the Players Cup 3 qualifiers, and I've collected data from 18 out of 25 of these players to present you their deck lists that they've been using to do so well in the qualifying events of the Players Cup 3. So whether you're somebody that wants to use these decks for your own qualifying events, you've already finished your keys and you want to start preparing for the next phase, or you are even not participating at all in the Players Cup 3 but you're just wondering what is doing very well right now in competitive Pokemon TCG standard format, this video is going to be for you. Just a bit of information about Players Cup 3. So eligible PTCGO accounts received 50 event keys, and each of these keys allows you to play in one event. Events can be played on PTCGO between January 26th and February 26th. These events are all standard format. The top 256 players from North America, Europe, and Latin America move on to the next phase, and the top 128 players from Oceania move on to the next phase. Qualifying structure is 8 people per event, and the events are single elimination. First place gets 5 rep or points, second place gets 3 rep, top 4 gets 1 rep, and bottom 8 gets 0 rep. Before we get into the next part, which is the most important part of this video, I do want to shout out PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Be sure to use code Celio for 5% off. And without further ado, we are going to look at the top 25 players, the decks they've played, and at the end I will show the spreadsheet, which you can get in the description down below to get their lists for PTCGO. The highest ranking player I could get the deck from is Averin Valerial, who is ranked at number 2 in North America with 136 tournament rep, and they have been playing this Tempo Zard deck, as they've called it. You might refer to it as Blacephalon, Tempo Zard, Firebox, whatever it is you want to call it. This is the deck list they've been playing. It does only have one Blacephalon, so I do understand why they've called it a Tempo Zard deck as compared to Blacephalon, but this is currently the rank number 2 deck. This is the deck that the rank number 2 player has been piloting the most. So like I said, all these deck lists will be in the spreadsheet down below in the description if you want to try them out yourself. A couple notes about this deck list: they are playing Marshadow to bump Chaotic Swells, and then just the 3 Giant Hearth as opposed to maybe 4. They're playing Double V, which isn't seen in every deck like this, and notably, like I did mention already, they're just playing one Blacephalon because this is more of a box deck with the 2 Cramorant, 2 Reshizard, 1 Double, and 1 Blacephalon. You have multiple attackers to choose from with this deck. At rank number 3 is Alex Schemanske with 136 tournament rep, piloting the Scoop Up Net Centiskorch VMAX variant, which I'm not surprised to see since Alex, I believe, was one of the pioneers of the Scoop Up Net Centiskorch build. The Scoop Up Nets, of course, allow you to be very mobile with your Jirachis and also reuse your Giratina with Dimension Breach and your Zigzagoon with Headbutt Tantrum. Notably in this list, Alex is using Mallow and Lana and also Wondrous Labyrinth. I think Mallow and Lana is a really great inclusion because of how popular and how strong Pikarom is, and Mallow Lana is not only an extra switching out to Raichu's paralysis, but it also heals off most of the damage that Tandem Shock does. Rank number 4 is JakeGearhart with 134 tournament rep, playing the Pokegear Luke Metal list. I've actually used this list for one of my qualifying events. I think this is probably the best or very close to the best way to build Zacian Lucametal right now. It's very to the point, and it's exactly the kind of build I like for this variant or this archetype because it is not playing any support Pokemon. It is just the 4 Zacian, 2 Lucametal, 2 Zamazenta, so you don't have any Guru or Eldegoss or Jirachi or anything like that to worry about on your bench. It does not play any Stunfisk or Aegislash as a counter to Decigoons. And it is playing the 3 Coating Metal Energy, which removes weakness from the fire Pokemon, or from the metal Pokemon it's attached to. So that's good against decks like Centiskorch and Blacephalon, where you're still not going to beat it all the time with the Coating Metal Energy in there, but at least it gives you the chance. And I do think it makes the Blacephalon matchup pretty close. But Centiskorch VMAX is pretty hard unless your opponent misplays. If they do, or they have a pretty bad start or bad luck with prizes or what they have to discard, then the Coating Metal Energy can potentially bring you into that game. Next, we have Zachary Cooper at rank 5 with 132 tournament rep, and Zachary has mostly been playing Pikarom. The Pikarom lists, I think, are mostly about 57 cards, the same across the board. Here we will see that Zachary's playing a lot of the constants between Pikarom lists. He's got the 3 Boltund, 2 Mewtwo, 2 Pikarom, 2 Dedenne, and then 1 of each of the other Pokemon, which I think is across the board the way most people, if not all people, are finding success with Pikarom right now. One of the newer trends has been to play 2 Team Yellgrunt, because that's really good versus Eternatus, in addition to the 4 Crushing Hammer. And then the other thing that's a little bit of a change, depending on who's playing it and the list, is Tag Switch. I personally really like Tag Switch. Some people will play 1 or 2 Energy Switch, some people will play 1 Tag Switch, some 1 of each. Zachary has decided to go with just the 1 Tag Switch here, and I think this is a really solid Pikarom list with the 2 Yellgrunts teched in for the Eternatus matchup. Next, we've got Brian Kim in rank 7 with 126 tournament reps so far, playing Mad Party. So Mad Party, maybe not a deck you thought would be up here on the top ranks, but here it is piloted by Brian Kim to rank 7 so far. A couple interesting things about this list: it's playing 2 Giovanni's Exile. Some lists I've seen play 1. I don't believe I've ever seen a list with 2 though. So the Giovanni's Exile allows you to discard Pokemon from your bench. So after you use those Dedennes and Crobat, you can discard them off your bench to stop your opponent from having multiple prize targets to gust up and knock out. Other than that, it's all consistency and all Mad Partiers. You've got so many Pokemon search outs. You've even got Electromagnetic Radar to discard extra Pokemon and get your Dedennes. So super smooth, consistent list, plus the double Giovanni's Exile to remove the support Pokemon from your bench, so that your opponent hopefully won't be able to gust them up and knock them out for extra prizes. They have to go through all these single prize Pokemon that are dishing out a lot of damage. Next, we have Aaron Rucker at current rank 9 with tournament rep 121. So Aaron, I believe, is the only Welder Mew 3 on this list. So Aaron has been piloting Mewtwo with the Welder, the Fire variant. So some of the attackers in this deck include Reshizard, Victini V, and then also the Charizard GX that can only be copied by Mewtwo. But those other fire attackers offer alternate attackers, so you don't always have to be using a Mewtwo. Some of the other Pokemon included here, we've got the Incineroar GX. Its GX attack does a ton of damage, a base of 10 plus 50 more for every other damage counter on this Pokemon. We've got Vileplume GX, which has a solid 2 energy attack option for Mewtwo to copy. It does 180, and then the Ganadel snipes the bench for 170. So a few really awesome evolution Pokemon for Mewtwo to copy from the discard pile. Then there's also some fire Pokemon that can actually attack themselves, and of course there's also Galarian Sirfetch'd V to hit fighting weakness on things like Pikarom, Raichu, and Eternatus. Next is David Selin at rank 10 with 120 tournament rep, playing Lucametal Zacian. So the Pokemon line is exactly the same as Jake's, who was in the top 3 or 4 with Lucametal. I think he might be rank 4. But the Pokemon line's the same. 4 Zacian, 2 Lucametal, 2 Zamazenta. Also has the 3 Lily's Pokédoll. But there are some other differences. So David is playing 3 Birdkeeper for good mobility and also some draw power. Also Erica's Hospitality, which the Erica's Hospitality I think is okay, so you don't have to dump your hand with research and you can build up a hand. But after using it once, if you're building up that hand, you're not really able to use it again because it has a limit on how many cards you can have before playing Erica's Hospitality. The Guzmahalas and Tag Calls are interesting. That's something I tried earlier in the Darkness Ablaze meta. The Goose Mahala to get out capture energy to then get an extra Pokemon and an energy attachment all at once is really nice, but I'm not sure this is my favorite way to play the list. Regardless of what I think of it, David's been doing great. He's sitting at rank 10 with 120 rep, so potentially if you didn't like the first Luke Metal list, here's another one to try out. At rank 11, we have Brandon Salazar with 117 tournament rep, also playing a Scoop Up Net variant of Centiskorch, but where Alex was playing the Cramorant V, Brandon is playing the Reshizard, which is a pretty good attacker for an attachment plus a welder. It does 200 with Double Blaze, or if you can get 2 welders in a row to it for 6 total energy, Double Blaze does 300 and goes through all effects on the defending Pokemon. So Reshizard is definitely a cool option. I think it's the more popular option, while as Alex was a bit of the dark horse with Cramorant V. Next, we've got Steven Maxlow from Flow-T Cast with Eternatus at rank 12 with 116 rep. So I've been seeing Eternatus playing more Yveltal just because of the free retreat being so good. But Steven here has decided to play 3 Spiritomb, a Sableye, and just 1 Yveltal. I do like the plant and stamp combo. I've actually lost playing Pikarom against Eternatus with the plant stamp, because the plant can really hurt the Pikarom if they're going in with Mewtwo. Or if they don't know the Eternatus is playing Power Plant yet and they decide to power but Mewtwo and then a Power Plant gets stuck, it can be really, really strong. Also, the Dangerous Drill is solid for bumping a Chaotic Swell or bumping a Big Charm, or unlike an ADP or a Mewtwo or a Pikarom or Raichu. And other than that, the list is pretty much just straightforward Eternatus. You have the Spiritomb, Sableye, Yveltal as attacking options against Luke Metal, Zacian, Zamazenta. It's still a rough matchup, but definitely completely winnable. Next is Glen Henderson at rank 13, 115 tournament rep, with Zacian Luke Metal again. Here, Glen has cut the second Zamazenta for an Aegislash, which I personally definitely disagree with. I think the second Zamazenta is important in the matchups where Zamazenta is good. But, like I said about some of the other lists, regardless of what I think, Glen has been able to get to rank 13 with this deck, so there is some merit to it somewhere. Other than that, I think it's almost an exact copy of Jake Gearhart's Luke Metal list, so from there, we'll move on to the next one. We've got Pete Chisolm, sorry Pete, I don't know how to say your last name, at rank 14 with 113 tournament rep, playing Decidueye Obstagoon. I think this is the first Decigoons we've seen on the list so far. So Decidueye Obstagoon is a really strong meta call deck. It has auto wins to things like ADPZ with no Aegislash and to Pikarom, but then it auto loses almost to Aegislash Tex, and it's really bad versus Centiskorch. It can squeak out wins versus Blacephalon, but it's a really matchup dependent deck, so it's a little bit risky to play. Pete was able to get to rank 14 and 113 rep with it thus far. So if you're looking for maybe a deck that can get you easy wins but also some fast losses depending on what your opponent's playing, this might be the deck for you. And we also have another Decigoons coming up later in the video. Next we've got Kobe with 150, rank 15 with 111 tournament rep, playing Blacephalon. So this one's much more Blacephalon focused than the Tempozard that we saw. We've got the 4 Blacephalon, 1 Cramorant, 1 Reshizard here, and then of course a lot of fire energy out of 16, and then 4 Fire Crystal, 4 Hearth, 2 Energy Retrieval, so much more a classic Blacephalon deck here. Scoop Up Nets and Zigzagoon, Jirachi, Mewtwo. The only thing I might like to see here is the Marshadow to bump Chaotic Swell, since Chaotic Swell seems pretty popular right now between Pikarom and ADPZ. Even some Luke Metal lists have it, some Eternatus lists have it, but other than that, super straightforward, solid list for Blacephalon, and Kobe has gotten to rank 15 with it. Up next, we've got JakeSilberman at rank 16 with 111 tournament rep, also playing the Scoop Up Net variant of Centiskorch. I think this list is almost exactly the same as one of the ones earlier in the video. It's got Great Catcher, 3 Giant Hearth, no Marsh Shadow, which I don't particularly like. I think if you're going with a 3 Hearth, you pop a Marsh Shadow in there. If you like 4 Hearth better, maybe you don't play the Marsh Shadow. Fiona is a cool tech to make your opponent have to switch. I really like Tina if you're playing the Scoop Up Nuts to get rid of Coding Metal Energy. Not really a lot more to say about this one. Next, we've got John Ang at rank 17, 110 tournament rep with ADP Zacian, the first ADP Z on the list today. So I really like this list. It's got 4 Zacian V, which if you have not checked out my optimal ADP Z video yet, be sure to do that. John's listing, he's playing 4 Zacian V. That's definitely correct. Cutting down on the water energy only to 2. I think it's a tiny bit more riskier, but perfectly fine. I like the double Mawile because it gives you an out against Decigoons while also giving you double Mawile against decks like Eternatus that it's really strong against. Double Vitality Band over Big Charms, I respect that because you want to be able to OHKO Pika-Roms and reach up to the 270 versus Mewtwo's and Reshizard. Next is Danny Altavia at rank 22. So we did skip a few between John and Danny. I couldn't get the decks collected for the people between there. But next we have 22, 109 rep. Danny's been rocking Decigoons. He said he thinks this is like an auto qualification deck if you play well and don't hit absolutely awful matchups the whole time. Something interesting about his list, he's playing Mimikyu with Shadow Box to turn off Mewtwo, and he's playing 3 Aromatic Grass Energy to prevent special conditions, and also a Recycle Energy, which was a pretty cute card to have in the deck. Next is Evan Campbell, rank 23, 106 tournament rep with Pika-Rom. Like I said, some people have been playing Yell Grunt, but most lists have been about 57 cards similar to each other, and I think that really shows here. We've got the 1 Yell Grunt here and 2 Energy Switch, whereas Zachary was playing 2 Yell Grunt and 1 Tag Switch. There's also only 3 Research in this deck to fit in that second Swell and the 2 Energy Switch. Personally, I would play 4 Research and then decide whether you want to cut the Energy Switch or the Swell. But like I've been saying, regardless of what I think, Evan's at rank 23 with the deck, so it has merit to it, and this is a Pika-Rom deck that has earned 106 tournament reps so far. Next, we've got Simon at rank 24 with Blacephalon. This one's kind of bridging the gap between the Tempo Zard Firebox and the classic Blacephalon. It does still have 3 Blacephalon though, so it is more Blounce focused, but it's also got the 2 Cramorant and the 1 Reshizard, a little bit of a lower energy count with 13 for Fire Crystal, 2 energy retrieval, but he also has 3 energy spinner. Something I think is really interesting is instead of playing the Marshadow Resetting Hole and more Giant Hearth, he's decided to go with Energy Spinner to try to just accept the fact that some people are going to be playing Chaotic Swell. So I honestly like that line of thought with the extra Energy Spinner as opposed to the Giant Hearth and Marshadow. And last but not least is Andrew at rank 25 with 106 tournament rep with Eternatus. So again, playing only the 1 Yveltal and 3 Spirit Tomb, but there's no Sableye like Steven had. There's also no Power Plant and no Stamp. I really like Stamp in Eternatus. The Stadium choice I think is preference, but I really do like having Reset Stamp in the deck. But because there's no Reset Stamp, he does have more consistency. He has a 10th energy, he has 4 of every supporter, and he has 4 Quick Ball, 4 Great Ball, 4 Pokecom. And then the only like tech option here is the Dangerous Drill, which he's running 2 of to get rid of Big Charms mostly, so you can still get the 1-hit knockouts on those tag team Pokemon. So that is everything I could collect for the top 25 rank in the Players Cup 3 qualifiers so far. On the screen, you'll see a screenshot of the spreadsheet I have, and the link to that is in the description down below. There's PTCGO exports of all the lists I showed on screen in the video, and also the players' ranks, their tournament rep, and the decks they've used. If they used more than 1 deck, or at least if they reported to me that they used more than 1 deck. If you're in the top 25 rank between the time of this video and about the next week in North America, and you're new to the top 25, please get in touch with me on Twitter, Facebook, or Discord so that you can be featured in the next installment of the top 25 rank in Players Cup 3 video. And also, if you're in one of the other regions, Latin America, Oceania, or Europe, I do want to try to incorporate those leaderboards into the next video as well. So if you're in the top 25 rank of any of those other regions, please get in touch with me on Twitter. My link to my Twitter is in the description down below as well. Shout out PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes, and be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already for daily Pokemon TCG content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.